Hi friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while and I hope that you guys haven't forgotten me. For the first video of the new year, of course, it's only right for us to start with a 2024 TBR. I want to open up the year with a TBR for two reasons. First of all, it's like the first video of the year, so let's talk about what I plan to read for year 2024. And secondly, as you may have noticed, I was missing in action for the last 3 or 4 months of the year 2023. I didn't stop reading, but I wasn't reading enough dramione at all. Ever since the last video that I posted, I almost solely only read satosugu fanfiction. If you guys are interested in those, let me know and I can curate it my favorite satosugu fanfiction for you guys. But to be honest with you guys, like I have already cycled through a good amount of satosugu fanfiction, and for the year 2023, the year 2024, of course I want to get back into my dramione fandom because I feel like I've been missing a lot of action in the fandom for the last part of the year. That's why I'm going to curate a list of 2024 TBR for myself and also to share with you guys. Let's get the video started, shall we? Number 1 on my 2024 TBR is Secret and Mask by Emerald Slytherin. I feel like this is the newest cookies on the block for dramione fanfiction. So after Medical, after the Batmobile, Draco Malfoy, and the mortifying ordeal of being in love, we have Secret and Mask. This is a wartime story running 9 years after the final battle at Hogwarts. Hermione is a superstar in the Order lineup, of course, and she's been meeting in secret with a Death Eater from the regime. But when she was captured at Malfoy Manor is when the story begins for us. From the synopsis and the tag alone, I know that this is going to be a heavy, dark wartime story, which is not typically what I go for. Of course, like I had a really amazing time reading Manacle, but I wasn't having a great time feeling after I finished reading Manacle. After consuming too many wartime stories, I am kind of like traumatized to start a wartime story. I am traumatized to the point that before putting this on my 2024 TBR, I have already looked up the ending to know what I'm getting myself into. I'm not gonna spoil you guys, but I'm content with that ending, and that's why it's going on my TBR. I know for a fact that I will have a really good time reading this. This is a very guaranteed high quality fanfiction, kind of like bracing myself for the experience. If I started reading this story, I'll let you guys know, and you guys will be the witness to my heavy journey of finishing this week. The next item on my TBR is, I hope, a little bit lighter, and it is Soft As It Begins by Rubber Soul 02. This is a story about Harry going missing right after the victory at the final battle at Hogwarts. So after winning, he just go puff and gone. Everybody has kind of like given up on searching for Harry except Hermione. After years of searching, she finally came across a clue, but there's a catch, and that is her insufferable, intolerable co-worker Draco Malfoy is going to be assigned to the same case with her. I feel like I will also have a good time reading this story as well because it seemed very adventure-packed, action-packed, with a faster pace, and it's a happy ending story. So if I need any ammo in order to combat with the heaviness or the angst of Secret and Mask or any other wartime story that I put on my TBR, this is going to be a great option, I feel like. Next, we have another wartime story, another heavy angsty story, and that is Devotion by Peanut Brittle 123. This story is one of the fandom favorite as well, and a lot of people has been in my comment telling me to read Devotion. The synopsis for this story is only one line, and I really have a thing for one line synopsis, and I'll read it out for you guys. The one where he loses his memory of her and their secret relationship in the midst of the war is enough to reel me in. From my kind of like researching of the tag, I know that this is going to be a one hell of a journey to get to the happy ending. Seems kind of right up my alley because I am super in love with angsty story, like story that will crack your heart. As long as there's a happy ending waiting for me at the end, I will endure and also like covet that journey in order to get to the happy ending. So I'm kind of like super excited to read Devotion. Actually, it seems like this is a very interesting take on the Death Eater Draco trope. I have a really good time reading Death Eater Draco trope. I don't have a good time feeling after I finish reading them, or like while I was reading them, because of like all the anxiety, the angst, the anticipating something bad going to happen, feeling that they are on borrowed time. But wartime story to me is the epitome of the Hermione relationship. Enemy to lover speaks the loudest when it's in wartime, so I always put wartime story on my TBR. I don't know if I will ever chicken out and not read any of these stories, but they're going on my list and I plan to read them, okay? The next item on my list is Malfoy Advocate by Bella Medusa, and this is one of the stories where I don't really get where the story is going based on the synopsis, but when I started reading the tag, there are some tags that are just like you are going to read this, baby. Wizarding Mafia AU. Mob Boss Draco Malfoy. Badass motherfucker, everyone. Say less. You are going on my TBR. Story is only about like 66,000 words long, which I personally can finish in like 2 or 3 days. But there's one thing that kind of saw me with this story, and that is the tag "Dead Dove Do Not Eat." I have done research on this tag already, but for some reason, like I myself, I'm still super scared of that tag. So if any of you guys have read this story before and you guys know why this tag was added to the story, then please let me know. I'm gonna read this story, but I'm kind of like in an anticipating mode, like what is going to happen that have a dead dog tag in it, you know what I mean? Or maybe my understanding of that tag is just wrong. So you guys let me know in the comment, okay? The next item on my TBR is also a shorter piece of story. I feel like shorter story are much easier to consume, and the pace of the story is typically faster because the author doesn't have as much real estate to, you know, expand on their timeline. So I usually choose to read shorter fics first when I am getting myself into a new fandom or getting myself back into a fandom. This one is Tea and Necromancy by Safer Skinship. This is an 8-year story with super heavy tags, super like post-war PTSD, mental health issue tag. Based on the tag, I feel like I'm going to also have a good time with this. Of course, it's going to be a heavy journey to get there, but there's banter and there's a happy ending. So I feel like I can do this, especially if it's short. I can definitely do this, you know. The next item on my list is kind of like a shark, a giant, and that is Love in the Time of the Zombie Apocalypse by Rizzo, right? You guys may see this as a familiar face because I have mentioned this on my 2023 TBR before, because obviously it's here now. I haven't get to it in the year 2023, and the reason is still the same with the year before that. I have a love-hate relationship with every Rizzo story. Do I have a good time reading it? Yes. Do I have a good time feeling after it? No. It is a giant piece of story, you guys, so I'm just scared. I know it has a happy ending because I know that there are kind of like an alternative sad ending as well. Like, because I am so in love with Rizzo's story, I already know the journey to get there is like one hell of a story for me. I want to put this on my TBR because I truly want to start reading this story. I'm just too chicken to start. My goal for 2023 was to finish Measure of a Man, and this story, Measure of a Man, I already read, and that was like a 600,000 word piece of story. So when I think about it, this seems a little bit more doable. I just know that my mental health is going to take a hit with this story though. The next bit on my TBR list is kind of like a different plot, I feel like, and that is Project 137.43.m.t. Story running 10 years after the final battle at Hogwarts. The Ministry of Magic has released a new decree to rehabilitate former Death Eater into the society. Before they are allowed to get back into the society, they need to be alleviated, and they will be given kind of like a caseworker who will mentor them. And of course, we know who is getting released, who is the caseworker in question, right? One of my favorite dramatic fanfiction of all time is 13.9 by Nelfer. It's one of the stories that I have a good time both reading and feeling as well. And it is also with the same trope, former Death Eater being alleviated and was given a caseworker to get back into the society. So I really have high hope with this story, and hoping I will also have a good time reading this story as well. But that is the reason why Project 137.43.MD is on my TBR. The next story is kind of like a bonus. A lot of you guys have been in my comment telling me to read Detrake by Historical. This story is not finished yet. There are 106 chapters and only 103 chapters was posted. Word count for it right now is 675,802 words. This is a Hermione-centric story with a very slow burn romance. So I just don't know if I will have enough willpower or like motivation, and this is like a me not you problem. I know that this story is super high quality, it's a fan favorite, and a lot of you guys are in my comment telling me to read this story for a reason, but I don't want to lose sight of this story just because I don't want to miss out on greatness, and that's why it's on my TBR. And if I ever start reading this story, you guys will be the first one to know. Okay, that are all the Dramione that I have on my TBR for this year, and I feel like that's a good amount of words that I'm going to go through. The next category or the next fanfiction that I have on my TBR is All the Young Dudes by Mrs. King Bean 89. I feel like this is one of the stories that doesn't really need an introduction anymore because everybody and their mother is talking about this. More than 500,000 word long story about the Marauders, told from Rima's point of view, with of course, the development and the relationship of Wolfstar. I have never really ventured out into any other Harry Potter fandom ship before, and I know that Wolfstar is even a bigger ship than Dramione, so I'm excited to start reading something else in the Harry Potter fandom. I know that a lot of you guys also read the story and love it, so I have high hope for this story, and I wanted to make time for this story because I already know that this is going to be like a super good quality read. I will have a really good time reading it. Just also something new that I kind of look forward to read in this year. The next category that I have in this video is satosugu fanfiction, and I want to say that when I say satosugu, I don't really differentiate between goge or gego, so if I accidentally offend anybody, like please don't come for me in the comment, okay? Like I love them both equally and I will read any piece of work that feature those two idiots. Like I don't really care the positions that they choose to do with that, whatever it is. And I was kind of contemplating not putting any satosugu item on this list because with satosugu, because there are so many one-shots, every time that I come across a synopsis I want to read, I will read it immediately. It takes me maybe like 30 minutes to an hour to finish it, so I don't really save the fic. But there are some work in progress that I'm kind of waiting for it to be completed before I start or before I continue reading. And I don't want to lose sight of them again, so that's why I put them on this list. First one is The Honor One by Sola Bishop, and this is kind of like an alternative universe story where Gojo is a curse and Geto is the strongest sorcerer in. I have already read so many fiction alternative timeline story with them that I kind of want to go in a different route now where their storyline is like completely different from canon. This is, I feel like, one of the items that fits the criteria, so that's why it's on my TBR. The next one is also another item on that AU completely list, and that is English Canvat by NQ Wayuka. Usually, you guys know I don't really like reading ABO in the Dramione fandom, but for some reason I really love reading ABO with satosugu. This is one of the ABO story. They are strangers in this AU, and Geto practically saved Gojo's life, and so they started kind of like seeing each other or like getting to know each other more. Like I just have full of love for those, and so you are on my TBR. The last item of satosugu on my list, a super cool synopsis that I want to share with you guys. Gojo Satoru wake up and immediately recognize that the time has been repeated, like he's in a time loop, because he can recognize the exact same curse energy or curse layout as the day before, which has never happened in his life before. Everything has led back to Geto Subaru's. I am really hopeful for this story to complete. It's at 8 out of 10 chapters right now, and as soon as this story is complete, I'm gonna start reading it like immediately because I am just so drawn to the synopsis. Those are all the fanfiction on my TBR list, so we are going to move on to the books category now. First two items on my book TBR, we have two classic, Pride and Prejudice. The reason why it's on my TBR is because I feel like I have read enough Dramione fanfiction, and also Pride and Prejudice inspired Dramione fanfiction, that it's high time for me to start reading the blueprint. It may surprise you, but I have never read this before, so I'm going to read this year and educate myself on the power of Pride and Prejudice, okay? This one, Picture of Dorian Gray, is typically not something I would go for myself, but out of all the most important people in my life, there's one who kind of like is responsible for rekindling my habit of reading, whose book's opinions I treasure the most. This book is on her favorite book of all time list, and I feel like in order for me to love the people around me better, I need to love the media, the art that they consume better, and so this is also on my TBR. I'm scared to start just because of the horror element, the theme with my TBR for this year, that is reading something that you are scared to start reading, so it fits the criteria. The last book TBR that I have on my list, which is also the last item on my 2024 TBR altogether, is this trilogy from Cixin Liu. I hope that's how you pronounce the author name. Three books are in the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy, and this is a sci-fi series. The Dead's End, the Dark Forest, and then the Three Body Problem. I was also gifted this set from people whose books' opinion matter really much to me, and they were saying that these are their favorite books of all time, and I feel kind of like I have a responsibility to finish these books, and so that's why they're on my TBR. These books are probably the items that I'm most excited to read, just because it is the most different from anything else on my TBR list. It's something that I myself would never ever go for. It's gonna be such a unique experience and such a first time experience for me that I am super stoked to start them. I know that this book kind of looks a little bit scary, like the volume, but like I say, the theme of my TBR is anything that I'm too scared to read in 2023 or at all or period. Those are everything that I plan to read this year. I don't know if I've committed myself to too much. At least I will have you guys with me, and at least some of the fic that or even books that I'm starting to read this year are people's favorites, so I already know that I will have greatness waiting for me at the end of the tunnel. If you guys have any idea, any requests for me, please go ahead and comment down below, because your girl needs video idea right now. But I love you guys, and it's really fun making videos again, so I promise you guys I will make more videos this year. See ya.